Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today we are going to look into folder structure. Like we'll try to understand folder structure in LWC. A typical LWC component folder structure can consist of a HTML file, a JavaScript file, JS-meta XML file, a CSS file, and a SVG file. Here, for instance, I'm considering my component name as Hello World, and the component structure in Visual Studio Code will look like this. It will have the main file, that is hello world.html file, hello world.javascript file, hello world.js-meta XML file, and the CSS file and SVG file are the optional files. And if you see this folder structure in the hello world, we have HTML file, JS file, SVG file, JS-meta XML file, and CSS file. And instead of that, and we have another folder like underscore test double underscore. This underscore test double underscore is a folder for keeping the test files, like hello world.javascript file is there, right? There is a testing framework for a JavaScript file in LWC. For that, we need to make the folder name as test, which is preceded and succeeded with double underscores. And the test file that is present in this test folder should have our component name dot test.js. It should be like this. Here our component name is hello world. That's why we have used hello world.test.js. And we'll see more about this test framework in our future sessions, in our upcoming sessions. Today, we'll go into all the other folders in detail, like HTML file, JavaScript file, CSS file, SVG file, JS-meta XML file. And at the end, we'll understand what are the some of the naming conventions that we need to follow while creating LWC components. And the first thing here I want to make sure is in LW, like while creating LWC components, we need to follow camel casing while giving names to components. First and the most important point is name name should start with small letter and it should follow camel casing. Camel casing means first letter needs to be small. Camel casing is a combination of first first letter of first word should be small. Next word first letter should start with capital. For suppose if you want to name component as uh, first component LWC, naming convention should be like this. First, F must be small in the first component. First component LWC, L must be capital like this. If you want to name your component as save to drive, save to drive like this. If you want to name your component like explore folder structure, explore E must be small, folder structure. This is the most important thing that we should keep in mind while creating a LWC component. We should follow camel casing. Camel casing is the main thing that we need to keep in mind while creating a component. We'll try to go into our Salesforce org, and I will try to open the Lightning Studio as well. Already we have created in the last session, we have created our my first LWCC component, and we'll just try to understand what are each files. Okay, template dot uh, HTML file is the main file where we'll be storing all the UI, like the UI that we need to show on our component. Here we are trying to display a bold tag and a paragraph tag as well. Hmm. And this HTML file must contain this template tag as a root tag. Like what are all the UI components that we need that you write, the, those tags, every tag, like we can keep lightning combo box, lightning data table, lightning layout, div tags, span tags. All these components, all these tags must be embedded in a root tag, that is template tag. Every tag or every lightning tag or a styling component or styling tags, everything that needs to be um, embedded in this template tag. That is the main point that we need to consider in this in this HTML file. Coming to JavaScript file, in the JavaScript file, what we used to do is we used to keep the business logic in this JavaScript file. Hmm. For instance, here, see, uh, in the paragraph tag, I'm trying to show something like data. This data, I am enclosing it in curly braces. If we enclose anything in curly braces in the HTML file, this means this data, what we are keeping, this variable, that needs to be set, or that needs to be coming from the JavaScript file. Here if you see in the I have declared a variable like data. This is data set in JS, and I'm just trying to read it in paragraph tag in the HTML file. I'm enclosing that in curly braces, p class. We are using external CSS. We'll come to this in the next few minutes, and we are enclosing that in curly braces. Data is enclosed in curly braces, and when you try to see this in the UI, what will happen is this data what we have set in the JavaScript file, that is this data is set in JS. This will come like on the UI. This data will be replaced with what we have defined in the JavaScript class. Mm, in simple words, what we can say is all the backend logic, like if you want to call an Apex class, if you want to do some operations like with the backend data in the Salesforce, all the operations like uh, calling an Apex class, we can call Apex class as well, and you can do logic there, and you can read those results in the JavaScript file as well. That business logic, those things can be done in this JavaScript file. And the main file is JS meta XML file. This meta XML file is uh, it is like a package.xml file. It will contain uh, all the things that component, the component behavior, um, like what is the API version, it conveys the API version, and if it is exposed to the Lightning app builder or not. The Lightning compo the JS meta file will will show that, and we can set description for the component as well, and targets like where we need to render this component, like on the home page, app page, Lightning tab. Everything can be set in this JS meta file. In this target section, there are other uses as well. Like we can read a parameter from the Lightning page as well. We'll see it in our coming lectures, coming sessions, and The next file is CSS file. CSS file is used to define styling to the component. Um, this is custom CSS. Here, what we have done is for the paragraph tag, we have given styling as ext CSS. In this, we have set color as maroon, and we'll give padding top 10 px. Like all the custom CSS we can define in this my first LWC my first LWC cc.css file. We'll try to see this on the Salesforce UI. I'm trying to refreshing my page, and once we see the changes, we'll see this JS data set in JS. The data that we are setting in the JavaScript file, that is rendering and getting shown on the HTML. Hello from JS to HTML. Um, as I mentioned earlier, we need to follow camel casing, right? Why we need to follow camel casing? I will try to explain you. I'm trying to inspect this component. Inspect. Here, if you can see, let this inspect load. If you can see here how our component got rendered here. Our component name is my first LWC CC, and if you see this got rendered in kebab casing, C hyphen my hyphen first hyphen L hyphen W hyphen C hyphen C. See, for every capital letter it got replaced with the hyphen. My is the first word, and the first capital letter that we have used in our component is F. That's why before F hyphen is getting replaced. And LWCC, all we have used every letter as capital. That's why hyphen is added before and after to the component name. And C is the namespace of the component. Like for every component that you create, C is the default namespace. And this is the main reason we need to use camel casing while creating a HTML component. And this is a kebab casing. What you see here, C hyphen my hyphen first L hyphen W hyphen C hyphen C. This is the kebab casing. Now, what we'll do is we'll see some of the guidelines that we need to follow while naming the component. These are the guidelines that we need to follow. There are some guidelines from Salesforce that needs to be followed while creating a component. The first guideline is uh, always, this I have mentioned earlier as well, always start component name with small letter. And if there is more than, like if there is only one word, like hello is the component name, then what you need to do is hello. If your component has two words, like hello world, hello H must be small and world W must be capital. If you have three words like my first LWC, my first LWC, this is the naming convention that you need to follow while creating a component. This is the first guideline. And the second guideline is your component name must contain alphanumeric or underscore. It should not contain any other characters other than alphanumeric and underscore. And the name that you are giving to the component, it should be unique in the namespace. Name should be unique. Like you should not name two components same name. And what are the don'ts that we are not allowed to do? We cannot use hyphen, cannot use hyphen, white space, and two consecutive underscores. This is not allowed. And component name cannot end with underscore. These are the guidelines that we need to follow while naming a component. I will reiterate through these once again. Always start a component name with small letter. We should always start it small letter. And the next letters, like if there are more than two words, mm, first word, first letter must be small, and second word, first letter must be capital. And it should contain only alphanumerics, like it should contain alphabets and numbers or underscores. And it must be unique within the namespace. And it cannot contain hyphen, underscore, or two consecutive hyphen, white space, two consecutive underscores. It can contain underscore, but two consecutive underscores are not allowed. And it cannot end with underscore. These are the guidelines that we need to follow, that we need to keep in mind while creating a component. This is all for the day. We'll meet in the next session. Thank you. Bye bye.